Hey filmmakers, what's up? Welcome back to another live stream with me. If you guys are awake, thank you for joining the live stream. And if you guys are watching this for the first time on the live replay, definitely leave some comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And everyone that's already here with me watching, start putting some chats below. I'd love to hear anything you have to say or any questions you have on this topic or anything else that you've seen on my channel that you want to ask about. So if you clicked on this video, you saw the title. We're going to be talking about how you can make money with video all while you're working from home. So as I'm sure you guys know, the world is pretty crazy right now, and a lot of people, especially in our industry, are really struggling to make an income and make ends meet. So I've just got a couple things listed out that I think can help you guys if you're in that same boat and you want to figure out how you can make some more money online with video work without even leaving your house. So there'll be a couple examples and a couple other offshoots and things like that as well. So got some great stuff packed into this live for you guys. So please stick around with me. It's going to be a good time. And again, leave your questions and things below. What's up, PK Travel Vlogs? Matt 22's in here. What's up, JK Kenzie King? Malachi Malcolm and Glenn Reed. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for hopping into the live stream today. It's gonna be a good time. So let's get started right away. Let's jump into the content. Talk about what's something you can do to make money online. And everything I'm going to be showing you is stuff that I've done before or that I've seen other people do and be really successful with. So I definitely want to share that stuff with you guys today. So all right, the first thing that we're going to take a look at here is, of course, there's the title, How to Make Money with Video Work from Home. But the first thing is by selling stock footage. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard this before. It's not a new idea. It's nothing crazy out of left field, but it's actually something that can be really effective and a great way to make income. So what I want to do is show you guys a website that I use for selling my stock footage. Now, of course, there's a bunch of different websites you can use for selling your footage, and there's all different ones that you can put them onto, like Shutterstock and just tons and tons of ones, but you have to go onto each of those websites, sign up with an account, upload the footage, title it, tag it with all the different things, put all the different model releases and location releases and everything onto all the different websites. So for me, that's a huge hassle. I don't like doing that. So actually what I do instead of using something like where I'm going onto each of the different websites to load up my stock footage, I use something called Blackbox. So I want to show you guys what that looks like. So this is their website. It's called blackbox.global. I'm not affiliated with them. I have no any sort of partnership or anything with them, but it's a website that I've found, and you probably have heard of before, where basically they take your footage and they load it up to a bunch of websites all at once. So they'll take whatever you have and they'll load it into all the different platforms that sell footage. And so it's getting listed in a whole bunch of places, so it gets in front of more customers' eyes, because a lot of customers might only have an account, say with Shutterstock or Envato or whatever the different place is. And so they only shop there, but luckily, because they put all your footage for you in all the different spots, it makes it so that you get a lot more customers buying your footage, and it kind of sells for different prices depending on where you put it. So let's go back and I'll show you guys a little bit more of the website and actually break down how much money I have personally made from selling stock footage online, so you guys can get an idea of how it can be pretty lucrative if you do a lot of it. So let's go back to the website here. All right, so here's my account, and basically you can see here my earnings on the left, and this is from the past 90 days. So I've made $195 in the past 90 days from selling stock footage. You can see in April I didn't make anything. That was right in the middle of kind of all the shutdowns and lockdowns and stuff, so no one was buying any stock footage. And then I started ramping back up again in May, made 51, June 114, and so far in July, we're only 12 days in, I made $29. And so it doesn't look like a ton of money, but it actually does add up all over time and can be something significant. So my total revenue to date from this website, from Blackbox, is $1,070. So it's not an insane amount of money, but it is a good amount of money to have that little bit of extra income coming in every month, and that could just help pay for a couple bills or maybe some camera gear or something like that. So it's actually a really awesome source of income, especially if you put a lot of footage up. So I actually don't have that many clips in, so I'll show you guys here when it loads up. So I have only 93 stock footage clips that have been submitted and approved to Blackbox website. So not a whole ton there. I got all different footage here. You could see like landscape footage from traveling in San Francisco and other footage, lots of aerial footage. And then I have footage of people and different things from jobs and stuff like that I've shot. So you could put a whole different variety of things on here, and some of them sell better than others. Want to show you guys, just so you know, with stock footage, sometimes some of your clips are more popular than others and sell many times. So I have this beautiful shot of Sedona, Arizona. It's an aerial shot, and basically that has sold dozens and dozens of times. And same with this one. This is a technician guy like working and using a little tablet. So some of them sell many times while other ones don't sell nearly as much. So you can even see here, this one sold for $42, and I don't know what site it sold on, but it sold more there than, say, this exact same clip that only sold for $23 or $21 here. So they sell at different prices. And then this one only sold for $285. I'm guessing that's from one of the subscription sites like Envato Element. So people download so many of them that you don't get a large commission for something like that. That's probably where they bought it from. So it's actually really cool and a great way to make some extra income. So if you have tons and tons of hard drives laying around your office like I do, they're probably backlogged with a lot of old footage, and it's just a really good idea to basically get out there and start looking through all your old footage and see what you can clip out to sell as stock footage. I found that typically the best footage, like the best clip length, is around 10 to 15 seconds, and most of the sites will take anywhere from 30 seconds all the way up to a minute long. So find the best clips that you have that you've shot in the past, and make sure, with your clients, that you can use them if it's footage you've shot for a corporate client, that sort of thing. A lot of times you get model releases and location releases when you go out and shoot those. And you can also include in your contract basically that, hey, I may be selling some of the footage from this shoot as stock footage, and you just got to make sure that they agree to that when you do the initial contract for the job. So it's a great way, though, to make money. None of that stuff, none of the footage that I have shot and sold through that website, through Blackbox, was anything that I shot intentionally for stock footage. None of it. It was just old footage that I had that I could chop out and sell, and it's made me over $1,000. So that's pretty cool. That's a really, really awesome thing, because there's probably a ton more footage on my hard drives that I need to go through that I could be making money from. And I don't even have 100 clips uploaded. So imagine if you had 300, 400, 500, 1,000 clips that you found that were good from something that you shot that you uploaded to that website. Well, that's going to be a decent source of income for you if you get more videos out there. So I imagine that I could make a lot more doing that if I would actually go through my hard drives even more and more. So it's a fantastic way to make money online. And as videographers, I know you guys have tons of footage out there to use. So tell me what you think. Are you guys using stock footage sites? Have you used Blackbox or heard of it before? And have you had successes selling stock footage? What sells the best for you? I would love to know. All right, what's up, Bad Vibes? How's it going, man? I want to shout out, hey, and we've got Shubham Chand. Sorry, I'm terrible at pronouncing names. How's it going? Hello from India. It's fun to get people from all over the world joining the live streams. Tons of fun. So Malachi says he uses Shutterstock. Awesome. What is Shutterstock like for you? I'd be curious to know. I know that the prices on there are usually pretty expensive. It's like $50, $60 to buy a clip. So when someone buys a clip from you on Shutterstock, about how much commission do you make for like an HD or a 4K clip? I would love to know. Definitely comment that below, because I don't particularly sell just on Shutterstock. Again, it's going into Blackbox and it just spreads out to a whole bunch of other ones. So a lot of times I have no clue which site it's even sold on to. So I would love to know about that. All right, so a couple more ways that we can, make money online from home right now. Let's dive into those now. So slide here. All right, so edit projects remotely. So a lot of us, if you shoot video, you also know how to edit, of course, right? So you can edit projects for people remotely from home. A lot of times people have footage that they don't know how to edit, they've shot, or someone else has shot for them. And so you can get on and start editing that footage for them. There's a whole bunch of websites that you can use to do that, Fiverr, Upwork, and so on. And a lot of times I'll have even old clients reach out to me and say, hey, can you re-edit this or that for me? So if you have clients right now that you haven't spoken with for a long time, it might be a good idea to reach out to them and say, hey, how you doing? Just kind of follow up, see how they're doing right now with everything that's going on in their business, and ask them, hey, would you like me to, re-edit any of your videos and kind of make a new ad for you? And I can adjust it for what's going on in the world right now and kind of make it a little bit more custom for the times. And that'd be a great way to make some additional income from home, just re-editing some old footage you have for clients. And of course, there are a bunch of websites you can get on to do this sort of editing as well. So like I was saying, there's a bunch of different ones. So let's check this out. So of course, you've got Fiverr, and type in video editing here. And you can see there's a bunch of people that have their video editing capabilities here all listed, and it wants me to sign in, which I'm not going to do right now. But basically, if you are a video editor, you could list your capabilities here and put how much it costs to edit video per hour, per project, or whatever it is, and then people could get on and buy your editing services from you from anywhere in the world. And Upwork is another great place that you can do that. I've just typed in video editing already. And again, I'm not affiliated with either of these companies, Fiverr or Upwork. I've used Fiverr a ton. I haven't personally bought anything or used anything on Upwork yet, but I've heard of other people doing it a lot. So you can see here people's editing rates are pretty good, $50 an hour, $45, $75 an hour. So you could load up, your reel. You can see everyone's got their different reel here on the side. You could load up your video reel so people can get an idea of how good you are editing, and then, how much it costs to do it, and just an idea of what you can do to the website. And then you might get an email of someone saying, hey, I want you to edit something, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a good idea to put yourself out there in all these different platforms like Fiverr and Upwork and offer your editing services so that you can keep making money right now, because people are spending money on editing and advertising and things like that. They're actually wanting those things, but we're just not able to get together as much and shoot videos because of obviously, what's going on in the world. So it's a good idea to get on those sites, put those feelers out there, and you never know who's going to send you an email asking for some video editing jobs. So that's a great way to make some income from home. All right. So Glenn Reed says he tried Blackbox with about 23 clips, but never sold anything. Yeah, man. So if I look back at my Blackbox, for the first couple months, I didn't make anything. I put a bunch of footage on there and made nothing. And that can seem kind of weird or disheartening, but actually the way that it works and what I'm finding is that the longer your footage has been on there, the more like basically views and traction that it gets. It's kind of like a YouTube video, like you post it and then maybe months or years down the road even, it's getting more and more views and it gains that traction and it comes up higher in search. So a lot of my clips, because people like them or buy them eventually, they kind of rank higher and higher and get seen more. So you never know, some of those 23 footage clips that you've uploaded will gain some traction later on. But when I only had a couple, like a few dozen loaded up, I wasn't making really any money from stock footage. So try uploading some more. It doesn't hurt. It does no damage to upload them. It just takes some of your time. But I know a lot of us have some extra time right now. So try uploading up to 100 and see what happens and just let them sit. I think you could make some extra money from that. All right. So Malachi says he's only ever downloaded off of Shutterstock. Yeah, I've bought clips from there too. They're crazy expensive for some reason, like $75 for like a 4K clip, which is awesome if you're getting the money on the back end, but buying it sometimes sucks, especially when you got to tell a client like, hey, I know you want this or that, but we got to buy this specialty clip from a stock site. It's $75, or we need 5 of them, so it's going to be a couple $100. I've had projects like that where they're like, that's fine. And you just buy like a dozen clips from Shutterstock and they spend like $500 on stock footage. But if the client needs it, they need it and they're willing to pay for it. So yeah, give it another try, Glenn. I think it's worth it. Again, it took a while for it to kind of gain traction for me. I remember being like, man, I haven't sold anything, but as soon as you start getting more clips up, they will sell. And try to get as many with people in them as you can. That's one key thing I've seen about selling stock footage, is that if you have a lot of shots with people in them and you have the model releases from them, or you can get model releases from them, like, hey, email them an old release and be like, hey, can you sign this? I want to use this for stock footage, and they're cool with that. Those do much better. They perform much better than just like natural wildlife stuff that doesn't have any subjects or characters in them. So try to get them with people in them. All right. So another source of making income online right now from home is Google Adsense and Amazon Associates, or the Amazon Affiliates program. So I'm not going to dive really deep into this. I think most everyone is really familiar with this, but basically, Google runs ads against your videos and you make a little bit of money from that. It's really not much. And Amazon Affiliates, you can link products down below. I'm sure you've seen other YouTubers do that. And if you buy something, it doesn't cost any extra, but it gives them a small commission for buying that. So that's a great way to make a little bit of extra income if you already have an audience and you've kind of built up a community around your videos. So even if you have a small YouTube channel with, say, 500 or 1,000 subscribers, that sort of thing, you might make a little bit of Amazon affiliates money if you put some links down there, or a little bit from Google AdSense. Again, it's really not a lot. I'm sure you guys have heard this from many YouTubers, but you just can't rely on Google AdSense. I don't really know hardly anyone that makes all of their income from that, but it is a good little bit of extra income. Could help pay one bill or something like that if you already have an audience built up, or if you've been thinking about it, now I've got some downtime, it might be time to start on that channel that you've been wanting to start posting videos while you've got the extra time. All right, I'm gonna check out the comments here, see what's going on. Yeah, so Adventure Productions, he says, high quality is the way to sell in Blackbox. Yeah, for sure. They have a bunch of guidelines. You can go through their whole user guidelines. They're really pretty strict. They don't want any shaky footage, anything blurry, really any handheld footage. I mean, kind of basic things with video, right? Keep it steady, keep it in focus and everything like that. They want it really nice and saturated. But as long as it's a good high quality, and hopefully 4K if possible. 1080p, I have a lot of 1080p clips that have sold for sure, but 4K is of course ideal. In today's world, they can do pretty well. All right, so Lawrence Visual, what's up? Says, thanks for what you do, helped a lot, love the rig builds. Yeah, I've done a lot of rig builds on this channel, and there's definitely more to come as new cameras come out. There's a lot of exciting new cameras, the Canon R5 and R6. I don't know if I'll be getting either of those, but tons of new rig builds coming out. Yeah, Lawrence, you said you started building your rig after you saw my videos. That's awesome, man. I would love to see some pictures. Definitely hit me up, guys, on Instagram or Twitter. I'm on both those spots, usually at Chadwin or Chadwin_S. And you can find me on there. Send me pictures of your rigs if you have questions about them. Hit me up. I try to reply to all of them as I can. Sometimes I miss different questions and comments and things that come through and direct messages, but I'd love to answer any questions you have about your rigs or just see your pictures. I love checking out rigs. So, all right. Malachi says, how would you go about selling products while using Blackmagic Pocket 6K? I'm not sure I understand your question. How would you go about selling products? If you mean like taking videos of products, or do you mean like selling old gear? Let me know what you mean by that, and I'll try to answer that a little bit better for you. All right. JK Kenzie King says, bro, you think I can turn a Nikon L810 into a cinema camera? Oh, what is the L810? Let me look it up. Let me tell you. Actually, I want to check this out, because I get a lot of questions about cameras that I've never heard of before, and people want to rig them out, and I'm always curious. So I have not shot a lot on Nikon. I mean, I have used it back in school. That was one of the cameras we used. Okay, I see it. So looks like a decent little camera. Maybe you could rig that out. I think Your challenge for rigging out a camera like that would be finding a cage for it. So look up and see if Small Rig makes a cage for it. It looks like an older camera. I'm not sure how old that is, but see if Small Rig or Tilta or some other old company, something like that, has a cage for it. And that's a great place to start. If you could find a cage, you can pretty much rig out just about any camera I've found. So find a decent cage first and then watch one of my rig videos and see how you could kind of piece something together. I think you could definitely do it. All right. Hi Music says, can you give me Blackmagic Pocket 6K? Yeah, I really wish I could do more giveaways on this channel. If I start getting some sponsors, I would love to do some giveaways. That's a pretty nice camera to give away, but I think if I got a good enough sponsor, I could start doing something like that. That'd be really cool. I would love to do that. All right. Glenn Reed says, I love my Panasonic S1, but I helped my church get a few Pocket 4Ks and I'm really digging them. Yeah, that's awesome. So the Panasonic S1, is that the S1H? Is there an S1 and an S1H? I'm actually not familiar if they're the same or you just kind of abbreviated it there. But I know the S1H is an awesome camera, really great camera. And of course the Pocket 4Ks for church. I'm sure that's really cool to have. We've been looking at doing some live streaming at my church as well, and I've been thinking what camera is going to be best for that. Thought about the Blackmagic or some of the Sony, so I would love to hear your experience with, you know, kind of how you're connecting that up for your live streams there. That'd be really cool to hear about. All right. Shubham Sean, I'm sorry, I'm butchering names again. He says, just completed my schooling. What should I do to grow and learn in the field of filmmaking, animation, and VFX? Yeah, this is going to sound like the most cliche answer, I feel like, but you just have to start doing it. And I know it's like, hey, well, what do I start doing? Just start working on some passion projects. Maybe there's something you've been thinking about filming for a long time. Well, kind of write out the script and get some basic stuff together, maybe a friend or two that can film with you and just make it. I find that that's really how I started, was just randomly making little skits and things for fun. And then you build your skills on that and you realize, oh, I could improve here and there. So just keep going and you can really, really improve. All right, so let's jump back into a couple of the different ways to make additional money online here. I think we're on this slide. Here we go. So this one is a little bit different. It doesn't have to do exactly with using your camera for making money online, but you could do some web design work. And I think all of us are pretty creative people. We do video work, and so it's pretty easy to learn some really basic web design with things like Wix and Squarespace. Again, not sponsored, not affiliated with them in any way, but that's an awesome way to make some additional income from home. So this is just another idea that you could do. I know a lot of people in this creative space, they know how to work a lot of different platforms. Maybe they've actually built your own website. I know I've built my own website multiple times over, and I've built websites for other clients and for jobs that I've worked on before. So I think it's definitely not totally out of the let's see, how do you say this? Not totally out of the wheelhouse for videographers to know how to do some basic design and things like that, because we do a lot of graphics in our videos, adding text and photos and things like that. So making a basic website, especially with something that has a really intuitive builder like Wix and Squarespace, they make it so easy to make a website. You don't have to like do any coding or anything like that. So I definitely think it's a way you can make money online and worth looking into. If you're not interested in that sort of stuff, obviously don't do it. Skip over it. All right. Checking out a couple more of the comments here. Thank you guys for, you know, keeping on in the chat. It's a lot of fun to chat with you guys. All right. So Glenn says they have S1, S1R, and S1H. Okay, I'm going to have to check those out. I would love to see the difference between each of those and know, you know, so I could definitely determine that. I haven't used the Panasonic cameras really much in the past, so it'd be fun to check that out. Malachi says, what gimbals could you come up with to use for Blackmagic Pocket 6K? Yeah, I get this question a lot. Obviously, the Pocket cameras are pretty heavy and they're like bulky from one side. I mean, I have mine right here, and it's hard to balance on the Ronin S unless you're using some counterweights, or if you put basically what I've found is, here, let me just grab it so I can show you. The easiest way I've found to put the Pocket 6K onto a gimbal is to offset it, because it's really heavy on one side, and you can't really just center the quick release plate right in the middle, and a lot of times it'll hit against the motors. So what I do is, because this has a cage on it, I just put the quick release plate offset a little bit to this side, or you could offset it to the other side, whatever you need to do. Offset it a little bit instead of being centered, and then it'll mount on top of your gimbal just fine. So I always mount it with the cage so that I can move that quick release plate over. And I actually found that I never use any counterweights with my Pocket 6K, and I see a lot of people with different gimbals putting counterweights on theirs, and it always surprises me because I'm like, hey, you can just offset the quick release plate on the bottom, and then you don't have to rebalance the whole thing. It'll actually balance just fine. So I know that wasn't a total answer to your question, but basically to answer it, the gimbal that I'm using for this is the Ronin S and the Feiyutech AK4000. I know the AK4000 or 4500 will also mount on there really well. So there's a bunch of gimbals that can hold the Pocket 6K for sure. All right. Malachi says, can you shoot cinema with Sony A7 II? I think the way to answer that question is like, can you shoot a cinema style video or whatever? The A7 cameras are fantastic. I love them. I've been using them for a really long time. You can shoot great videos with them and get that very cinematic look. So yeah, I think you could. All right, Glenn's saying that the S1 is more of a hybrid for both photo and video. Okay, so the S1H must be like their big video camera that they've done all the advertising with, full frame, 4K and everything, or 6K. And then the S1 is more hybrid for photo and video. That's cool. Okay, and you're using 3 Pocket 4Ks with the Atom HD live streamed. That's really cool. So I've been looking at possibly getting the Atom Mini. I don't know if it's the same as the Atom HD or not, but I've been looking at the Atom Mini so that I could plug in a bunch of cameras for, you know, multi-switching live streams and angles and things like that. I think that'd be really cool. So it sounds like you have a great setup there. What's up? Hi Music from India. How's it going? Welcome. Thanks for jumping in. All right. Hi Music says, how much camera do you have? I think it means how many cameras do you have? So right now, I personally own 3 cameras. One back here you can see is the new Fujifilm X-T4. I'm shooting on the Sony a6500, and then I just showed you the Pocket 6K. So those are my main cameras right now. I'm kind of always cycling through cameras though, selling off my old ones and buying new ones, just so that I can keep up with the times and show you guys some of the best footage. Excuse me. So yeah, those are my kind of go-to main cameras right now. I use a whole bunch more at work. There's probably about 8 or 10 more roughly at work that we're using all the time, different ones. So that's what I'm doing with those. All right. Malachi says, I have the Moza Air 3. Yeah, I haven't used that in specific. Let me know, is that able to balance the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K or not? I'd love to hear. So, all right. And let's see what else is going on down here today. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check out some of the videos. Glenn says he uploaded one of his S1 rig. Yeah, I'll check that out. That'd be really cool. I'd love to see everyone's different camera rigs and see how they're doing it. I can get a lot of inspiration from all your guys' different rigs out there. There's things I haven't thought of that are really cool. So Malachi says, what about a dual handle gimbal? Yeah, so again, the Feiyutech AK4000 and the Feiyutech AK4500 both have a dual handle grip setup. It puts it in that full ring so you can put 2 hands on it. And a lot of them are sold in a package so that you can buy it all together. And that's what I use, a dual handle one. Obviously, there's the old Ronin M, but I honestly hate that gimbal. I know a lot of people are still rocking the Ronin M, but I don't like it. It never gets really smooth, good footage for me, but that's the OG of dual handles if you want to buy something used. All right. Adventure Production says, are you excited for the A7S III? Heck yeah. I mean, it's been a total unicorn. I've talked about this before on the channel in some previous live streams. Is it actually going to come out? Are they just continuing to kind of like string us along? I really hope it comes out and with some great specs. They got to make it 10-bit. They got to walk away from 8-bit for this camera for anyone to buy it, because everything I have now is 10-bit or 12-bit. So I'm really hoping the A7S III is something amazing, because it's just been too long since they've come out with a really higher end camera like that. So really hoping that happens. I will definitely be buying the A7S III if it's as good as they say it's going to be. All right. So here's another way that you can make money doing video work and such from home. You may not be huge on this because it's not exactly video, but again, I think a lot of us are editors, and so you could do some basic photo editing and color grading from home, and that's a great way to make some additional income right now. So if you know how to edit video, a lot of times you know how to edit photos. So brush up on your old skills, open up Photoshop or Lightroom, and you can edit photos for old clients or for people online through Fiverr and Upwork. I've already mentioned those before, but don't just put up your skills for video editing. If you know how to edit photos, definitely put that up as an offering on those websites, and you can edit people's maybe wedding photos or whatever it is that they need edited up for them, or do some color grading. If you don't have DaVinci Resolve, I believe there's a free version of it that you can get and get some good, get started in color grading. And people, believe it or not, will edit an entire video and then not feel comfortable doing the color grade themselves. Obviously, in professional movies and sets and things like that, they always have a color grade artist. So I think that's definitely worth looking into and just offering that as a possibility, is the color grading and photo editing. So definitely something you can check out. All right, checking out some more comments here. All right. Jonathan Blair, how's it going? He says, what inspires you to make videos? That's a really good question. I think a lot of the videos that I make are just by sheer obligation. We have client work that we have to do. I have clients at work and things that just need videos made. And so we just make the videos for them. But the things that inspire me the most are the things that allow me to be really creative. So I think when something pops into my head that just sounds like something that would be a lot of fun to make, a story, or maybe it's a product. If I'm reviewing a product or something pops into my mind that's like, oh, that'd be a really cool way to kind of film that and make some great B-roll. So it's kind of hard to answer that. What inspires me to make videos? I just love, I think the biggest part for me that inspires me is thinking about the lighting and the color and composition. I always think about, how can I make this look as cool as possible? How can I make this look as beautiful or cinematic, that cliche word. That's what gets me excited, is thinking about how I can make this really boring scene or this uninteresting thing look really interesting and exciting. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to hear from you though. What gets you excited about making videos? Sorry, just checking out some more comments here. Okay, so Max Soda, what's up? He says, hey, nice to catch you live. Yes, dude, it's good to see you again. Max is always in the chat, active on the channel. It's great to have you around, man. You haven't been on a live in a while, so very cool. Panishra, sorry, I'm butchering your name. He says, do you know English? I think what I'm speaking right now is the exact answer to that question. I'm not sure why you're asking that. All right, and Malachi says, what aperture, ISO, and shutter speed would you prefer to film cinema? That's kind of a loaded question. There's always the go-to, which I think everyone's kind of familiar with, and that's 24 frames per second is a good baseline. If I'm not shooting anything that needs to be in slow motion, I'm going to be shooting in 24 frames per second with a shutter speed that matches that 180 degree shutter rule. So it's going to be 1/48th shutter speed. And as far as ISO, that's totally variable. I try to shoot at the lowest ISO possible on my camera. So, you want to either shoot in the native ISO of your camera or pretty much as low as you can to reduce the amount of noise and grain. Now, the reason that you shoot at a native ISO on your camera is to get the best dynamic range. So if you don't know what it is for your camera, just do a quick Google search of your model and look up native ISO with it. And it might be like 400 ISO or something. That's what it is on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. It is a dual ISO camera though, dual native. So 400 and 3200 both give you a really clean image without a lot of the grain in the ISO. So ISO, there's no set good ISO to shoot unless it's really the native to your camera or as low as possible to reduce your grain. Hopefully that answers your question there. All right. Lucas Neve says, do you like Brazilian films? I don't know if I've ever seen a Brazilian film. Maybe post some links to some below or some different titles or something, and I can check them out. I don't know that I've actually ever seen one. I'd have to look into that. I'm definitely open to it. PS Film says, do you think the AK2000 gimbal is good? You know what? I know that's pretty much the smaller, the little brother to the AK4000. I imagine it's pretty good. I've been really impressed with my AK4000 that I shoot on. So if you have a lighter, smaller DSLR that you're not really going to be rigging out, I think it'd probably be a good camera, or a good gimbal for it. But if you need something bigger and heavier, maybe go with something like the AK4000. But I imagine it's a pretty good gimbal on its own. All right, so let's keep going on here on those, more ways to make money from home during this time. So this is something that's a little bit offshoot from the making money from home, but it's basically buy the gear you want on someone else's dime. And so what does that mean? There's a lot to unpack there. Like, what do you mean by buy it on someone else's dime? How do you do that? That sounds good to me. So this isn't necessarily a way to make money online from home, but it's a way to make money that allows you to buy the gear that you need, the next camera, the next lights and tripods and things like that. So this is something that I wanted to hit on in this live stream and be sure to add. Basically, when I first started out, I would just go out and, basically get a job with a client, give them a quote for, how much it costs for me to come out per hour and per hour for editing and things like that. But that was a mistake. Now I've moved more into like a giant project base, like, hey, here's a day rate, here's a half day rate, and here's how much it costs to basically rent or use my equipment. And you need to add this fee into your bids in the future. So whatever job it is, however big or small it is, you probably have thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment and lights and rigging stuff that you use, and it gets normal wear and tear on all these shoots. You take it with you in and out of your car and up and down stairs and things like that, and it gets beat up and broken and ruined, and you end up having to replace a lot of it. So it's a really, 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 really good idea to bake that into your quote for your clients, basically saying, equipment rental, equipment fee, whatever it is. Even if you're not renting the equipment from a rental house or something, they're renting the equipment from you to use it, because you show up with 10 grand in equipment or whatever it is. They need to know that doesn't come for free. So you add that in to your job. So if you're not sure how much to add, maybe add up basically how much all the equipment costs that you have that you bring on set with you, and then add a 3% or 5% of that fee to it. So, let's say it's $10,000 in equipment and you add 5% fee to that. So 10% would be $1,000. 5% fee would be $500. So you say, hey, it's going to be $500 rental fee. And what that does for you is that covers your bases. If something breaks on set, you can replace that piece of equipment. Or maybe you need a specific piece of equipment for that shoot. Well, they're going to pay for that. So if it's like, hey, I need a specific lens for that, or a light, or whatever it is to make the shoot come together, well, since you added that equipment fee to it, it's going to allow you to have that money to cover that later. Maybe you put it on a credit card and they pay you later on, and you can pay that piece of equipment off. I've done this so many times where it's like, hey, I actually need this thing for the shoot, and I'm not going to say, hey, here's the lens I needed, pay for it. No, just put that rental fee in there and it's going to cover it. Most clients will totally accept this and be totally fine with them having basically a gear use fee in there, and they won't bat an eye at it. Some clients will be like, what is this? What are you renting? What is this? And you have to explain it to them and say, hey, I'm using really expensive, top of the line equipment here, and this is just my fee for using it. I can show up with, very limited gear, and I can reduce that fee or whatever it is, but it kind of gives you some leverage as well. If you come in with a bid that's too high and they're like, hey, this is too high, can we bring this down? Maybe that equipment use fee is something where you could have some leverage. You could say, hey, I can drop that by a little bit, or I can take that out, or whatever it is for specific clients. But try to add that to as many as you can, so that you can keep getting the gear that you need and get your equipment covered if it breaks, or when it's time to replace it later on. You really got to have a way of earning money for that kind of stuff. All right. All right, crunch on ice here. It's hot. I'm in Arizona. it's been like 115, 110 all week long. That's 110 degrees Fahrenheit for you guys that are unaware. So it's super hot. Got to have ice drinks. All right. PS Films says, Glenn Reed says, I returned the AK2000 and bought the Ronin S. So maybe that's a good answer for you, PS Films. The Ronin S is a fantastic go-to. I found that it can handle just about every camera. I've put really heavy cameras on that, like the Sony FS5, and it handles that totally fine. So if you want something that's going to handle really small, light DSLR cameras all the way up to some pretty heavy ones, the Ronin S is still a fantastic all-around option. And I pretty much recommend that over just about any other single-handed grip gimbal out there. And of course, you can put tool handles on that if you need to. You can add those easily. So Malachi says, wait, what was the 148? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Maybe reiterate that again in the comments. I'm not sure what you're talking about. All right. So checking out more of the comments here. So Max Soto says, when working freelance, is it okay using the same legal contract with every client and making minor changes? Yes, of course. When you're working with clients, you don't want to have to rewrite up the contract every single time, because that's just obviously can be a waste of time and a hassle. So it's a good idea to have a basic template already of what the contract is going to be, and then go in, edit the dates, change the names, edit the pricing and everything like that. But that's definitely how I do it. Excuse me. Everything is on a template already for my bids, my contracts, my invoices, everything like that. I just go in and change the numbers, change the names and dates and whatever it is like that. So yes, it's a good idea to templatize everything. So, okay. Malachi says ISO, shutter, and aperture. So 1/48. Okay. Yeah. So maybe I didn't explain that super well, kind of backtracking here, but when I'm shooting video, I'm almost always shooting at 24 frames per second. And my shutter speed is 1/48. So a 1/48th shutter speed is what I meant by that. So basically, whatever your frame rate is, you want to double that with the shutter speed. So 24 to 48. And that's called the 180-degree shutter roll. And that gives you the most natural looking the most natural looking blur. So you could see here, there's blur in my hand, some motion blur there, and that's the most natural looking because I'm using that 180-degree shutter roll. If I jacked my shutter speed way up to like 1/200th, you wouldn't see all the blur happening in my hand. It would look really choppy and way too smooth, and it doesn't look natural because our human eye sees blur. It doesn't see perfectly pristine images. So I hope, Malachi, that answers your questions about the shutter speed there. So basically that kind of runs through all the different ways that you can make money online from home using video. Kind of to reiterate some of them. First, we started off with talking about, using stock footage, using all that old footage you've saved up over all the years. And even if it's 5 years old, 10 years old, it still might be a really relevant clip that someone's interested in buying. You never know. I've had some shots that I'm like, no one would ever need this or use this, but I'm going to clip it out and load it up online just in case. And, someone bought it and it's like, wow, I didn't know anyone needed that. So go through your old hard drives when you've got time, clip out those 10, 15, 30-second shots and load them up to Blackbox or Shutterstock or whatever it is, because over time, it's going to make money for you while you're sleeping. So just the other day, I think it was yesterday, I woke up and I was like, hey, I made $30 from Shutterstock or from selling some video clips. That's awesome. While I was sleeping, someone bought some stock footage. So definitely worth getting into. Just continuing on our kind of wrap up here, the selling your editing services online through Upwork and Fiverr and doing freelance editing of videos, photos, color grading, all those ways are a great way to make money from home online. And of course, if you have the ability to create websites using really simple website builders, you can do that from home as well for clients. I think most of us are really creative and can do that kind of stuff in the modern day pretty easily. If you have an audience of a couple people, a few hundred or maybe 1,000 or so people that follow you, you can make a little bit of money from Google Adsense and Amazon Associates from home. So another great way to make some additional income. So that basically covers everything that I had to talk about with making money from home. to help kind of supplement the income and all the shoots that you may have lost. I know that we lost dozens and dozens of shoots with what's been going on. It's been a lot harder to get people to make videos, and because we just can't get together, and all the live events, of course, have been canceled. So we got to get creative. We got to stay positive and keep on creating videos and doing whatever work you can from home, and reaching out to your clients and seeing if there's anything new that they can edit or make some new social media ad for them without even going out and shooting. So definitely, guys, stay on it, and keep creating as much as you can. Make as much money as you possibly can from home while this is going on. So thank you guys all so much for joining. It's been a blast. I will catch you guys in the next live stream. I know these are late, but it's always fun to catch up with you guys. I will see you guys hopefully next week. Have a good rest of your night. We'll catch you later.